Welcome back to episode 3 of our Final Destination review series here, leading up to Final Destination Blood Not Lines. My name is Adam, and I'm joined by special guest today, friend and member of the podcast, Todd. What's going on, man?
Not much. This is an interesting series here, so this will be fun.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun series. This is arguably my favorite film in the franchise, so really looking forward to diving into this one a little differently than we have done in the previous last 2 episodes, because we're gonna do it kind of like a mini deep dive style, giving you a little bit more depth and kind of fun categories for each of the characters as well, and talking and ranking each death in this franchise. So doing something a little bit different than the last 2, because I figure this is a good kind of a time to do so, because this is the middle chapter of the franchise. So I'm really looking forward to having you be part of the conversation. What was your kind of like experience with the franchise up to this point?
I really didn't know the movies very much up until this movie. This is a series I didn't follow at all. I was still in high school, but my buddies were like, "Hey, we need to go see Final Destination 3." I was like, "Well, I've never seen the first 2." So I had to go find those movies. I watched them right before going to see the third one in the theater, which was just an awesome experience. I never really seen like a bloody horror movie like that in the theater before. But it was similar. Like we did a similar thing with the Saw movies. Like we were going to see Saw, the last chapter Saw, I think, like with 7, and so I had to binge the first 6 like right before going to the movies. So shout out to my buddies in high school. Like you got me to start these series, and the Final Destination movies are just a blast.
Yeah, they're a fun it's a fun franchise as well, and I do bring comparison to the Saw franchise in the previous episodes too, because this is what you're really seeing. You're kind of seeing people die in crazy ways, and I think the unpredictability of what's going to happen with the kills in the Final Destination franchise is what makes the franchise really kind of unique. Characters may not be the most liked characters or the most fleshed out, but we're really there to see unique ways that these characters dying and really awesome set pieces. I think Final Destination 3 has some entertaining kills, to say the least, and has a really awesome premise with the opening roller coaster and theme park experience.
Yeah. Well, so I'm curious. The other movies in this franchise, like, 'cause when I rewatch this, I've only seen them all once, except for this one. I've seen a few times, but I hadn't seen it in years. Almost every character I know from something else now. Like I mean, these like there's so many actors. I was like, wow, I did not realize that Mary Elizabeth Winstead was the main character. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that the pool boy from Extract was in this movie. Is every character somebody you know now? Because
Yeah.
and of course Gary the bartender from Sideways is the operator of the roller coaster.
Oh, I didn't pick up that detail, but that's pretty awesome. Before we dive too far into this conversation, if you guys are big fans of Final Destination, this is a great time to hop in the comments section down below. Let us know what your favorite kill is, what's your favorite moment in the franchise as well. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube, and check out our podcast wherever you get your podcast, because we would love to have you be part of our movie conversation as well. All right. So I guess a quick overview of this third film is that we follow a girl named Wendy, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and she is taking photos for her yearbook, and she's having I guess it's like a graduation party, like a pre-graduation party at a theme park here, and with all her classmates are there, and her sister randomly shows up too. And of course, she has this weird feeling going on the Devil's Flight, and of course, she has a premonition of their untimely demise in very brutal theme park fashion on this roller coaster. My dad would say, "Just takes one cotter pin being out of place for it all to go bad," and that's what happens in this experience. So, of course, bunch of survivors get off, and then they slowly get picked off one by one. All right, you haven't seen this one too often, so you just rewatched it. What is your initial reaction to the film after having seen it for a while?
It's still super fun, and it moves really fast. It's a short movie, but it does I feel like I was halfway through the movie. I feel like it just started. I was like, oh man, like this thing really cooks,
Mhm.
and I love that the movie is aware of the first movie because it's got the same director. Like James Wong directed the first one, then he directed the one with Jet Li, and then he directed this movie. It's like, let's not even pay attention to the fact that the second movie exists. I'm just gonna go back to the other movie I know, like the other movie I directed. Is aware of
Mhm.
that one, and he's like, screw it. We're going to use the mythology of the first one and bring it into this one, which is fun because it focuses on high schoolers and whatnot, and the characters are all really memorable, even though a lot of them have really small parts. It's just a killer blast of a movie, and I do remember specifically watching this in the theater and just being like, whoa, this is what like a fun horror slasher in the theater can be like when you have a big crowd.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish I would have been able to experience is the Final Destination movies on the big screen. Looking forward to seeing Bloodlines in a few weeks, but missed these first five experiences there. So I watched them several years later on video. I've kind of binged the series several times now, and the third one always stuck out as this one that just was the most fun for me. I maybe it's the characters, maybe it's the Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I liked her because I watched her from Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That's where I first was introduced to her, and then of course I'm like, oh, that's the girl from Scott Pilgrim. That's awesome. Of course, you're feeling for everything that she's feeling, and after watching the previous two films in the last couple of days as well, of course, a lot of it pays attention to the first film the most. The second one, it's different, but the kids aren't in high school. The people that survived this accident are, adults. And of course, there's a lot of big set pieces in those ones that have some really memorable deaths in that second film. But I think the third film has those spontaneous deaths that you don't know who's actually going to die when they actually get there. And what I really appreciate about this one is that unlike the previous two installments, the person experiencing the premonition isn't the one having to go back and say, I'm not crazy, guys. Like other people have experienced it. No, it's a completely different person who has to tell Wendy, hey, other people have experienced it. And she's like, just fuck off, dude. You're just trying to rub this in my face, make me feel better. No, 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 no. Don't do that. And she just completely shuts it down until she looks at her photos and the tanning bed scene comes up. And then she's like, oh, maybe death is hunting us down. She has that eerie feeling. So I do like and appreciate that they're not just retreading the same tropes from the first two movies. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, the self-aware thing is what makes this movie a little bit more, or I guess a little bit less, just in line with like a typical sequel to a horror movie where it just does the same thing. It's like it's kind of more like Scream or something like that, I guess, or something like that, where
that's smart,
they know what movie they're in.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the shortness of the franchise is also like frustrating, but at the same time, it's refreshing because there's not a wasted moment. It just immediately goes and just it clicks in all cylinders. I even said the second one, even though I think that one's hit or miss sometimes, but that one still moves. I think the entire franchise really moves, and I say it's frustrating because I want more. I want a little bit more from them, just because I feel it is a really short, but at the same time, it's refreshing to have them not have any wasted monologues or from a killer or unwanted oh, we need to have this romantic subplot. No, there's really nothing of that in these horror movies, which is kind of refreshing because we get a lot of that in other franchises.
Yeah, I mean, they know how to tease you with these ones, and I mean, once you've seen a few of them, you kind of know that the opening scene is going to eventually become some crazy bloodbath, and then it's not actually going to happen. Like you kind of know that going in, but it still works because just the way how vivid they portray the dream sequence and whatnot is really good, and the end of these movies is always fun because it ends on such a high note. And yeah, you do want a few more scenes after that, but yeah, I mean, and that's how they get you to come back for the next one.
Yeah, that is true. And unlike the other previous two entries, all the characters die at the end of this one compared to the other ones where they're kind of teased, oh, maybe they're still alive. We don't necessarily know what's going on with them. And it's no, this one just completely wraps it up and in a perfect circle. It's completely wrapped up. It's its own entity and its own thing, which is awesome. I can't remember if there's any callbacks to this one in the the fourth and the fifth one, but I guess I'll find out in a couple watches.
Yeah,
but
I don't remember either. I remember the fifth one being sort of like one that was sort of wrapping up the whole franchise kind of thing, right? Like if I'm remembering that movie right, but I don't
Yeah,
remember
that
anything
one has
specific.
one of the definitely has one of the great twists, which could be a Pinot nominated scene when we get to that Pinots. But it's a fantastic ending to that the fifth film, but we're not there quite yet. But anyway, speaking of scenes, I guess we'll just transition right there. What's one of your favorite scenes? Not necessarily deaths, but what's like a really awesome scene for you?
So I mean, over just an overall scene, I do really think the funeral scene is interesting, where Wendy's explaining everything,
Hmm.
and I mean, because that's one of the like the only like real human scenes you get in the
Yeah,
movie. And I mean, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is a great actress, and she's able to actually show a little bit there when she's not just being like a scream queen. So
yeah,
I'll
that
go
is
with that one.
that's a good call. That scene's great. It's the only time though it's like completely dated. Because you got McKinley saying Osama's still kicking, and then I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
okay, well that, and then you get Wendy showing the photos of Abraham Lincoln and then the Twin Towers, and it's like, oh, see what these photos. I'm like, really? Do we have to go like that? Really? It's like that's just maybe trying to push a little too much into it, which I was like, "Ah, I don't buy that," but because it's the only time those like real life events have actually been referenced as like a premonition type of stuff. But it's still interesting and it still kind of expands that lore a little bit too. Uh, then yeah, so I
yeah,
like that scene quite a bit too. What I really enjoy about this movie is like the carnival experience because that whole carnival, like there's just kids being like dumb kids at a carnival, and that whole opening up to the point before they go on the Devil's Flight. That's just a really fun opening and a fun way to kind of introduce each character in its unique way, and you know who the snobby people are, you know who the douchebag people are, you know who the jock is, you know all the characters' personalities because assuming you've seen this close to high school, you are experiencing it, so you know exactly who the characters are before they even introduce themselves. So I do and really enjoy the opening carnival sequence, even though it's there's definitely more kids into the school, but at the same time, as like the kids they do introduce, it's pretty obvious who and what they are, and maybe what their outcomes could be too. So it's pretty fascinating.
yeah, that's good. I would say carnival scenes have a pretty high floor in movies, like they
Mhm,
rarely ever disappoint because there's just so much you could throw in there. Like there's so much going on, and
mhm.
there's just so many people and so many people you could watch at a carnival. Like it does play pretty well. And I was never I didn't know what the big death was going to be at the end of that scene. So it was pretty shocking when I remember the original time watching it. I was pretty surprised at at just how vicious that roller coaster got, because it was pretty dangerous to begin with. I feel like.
Yeah, it was definitely pretty big metal roller coaster there that it looked amazing. Like I'd probably be like if we did a power rankings for like film roller coasters, that probably should be up there, right next to like Wally World's like wooden roller coaster in
Oh yeah.
Vacation. But this opening carnival scene really made me think about a film that I don't think I'm the only one that watched it. It's called Hellfest. The whole place is like a killer stalking people in an amusement park and killing them off there during this horror themed night at this theme park of some kind. It's a really awesome movie. And it made me want to watch like watching this opening here makes me want to go back and watch that one because that's a really fun time, completely different in tone and everything and deaths. But Hellfest, check that one out if you ever get a chance. It's pretty
Yeah, I
awesome.
don't know that one. Looks like Tony Todd is also in that movie.
Yeah, so yeah, as he should. Uh, it, I guess well, you mentioned Tony Todd there. He's been in pretty much every one of these. He's actually in every one of these movies. However, he's not Bloodworth like he was in the last two movies. There's a different guy playing Bloodworth, which is kind of sad. But he is the devil, which is pretty
Yeah.
awesome, which makes sense. That's a great voice to have. But it will be weird seeing Tony Todd in the Final Destination Bloodlines for last one more time. But rightfully, I'm glad they have him back in the franchise too. So Tony
Yeah, I
Todd's
wasn't aware
awesome.
he had shot footage for that, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So pretty awesome. I guess where do you want to go first? What's the first kind of non-scene category you want to hit first?
Oh, let's go with the old reliable biggest stick man.
Biggest stick man.
Well, I feel like a lot of these are like could be stickmen, but they're all in high school, so I'm not really sure. But when I
Yeah.
saw that Dustin Milligan was in the movie as
Mm.
Marcus, which is the pool boy in Extract, I was like, okay, he obviously didn't he win the Pinot for Stickman?
I think he
So
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like that actor, even though he looked really young, as I saw, I mean, he's just in the back of, or he's on the roller coaster, but he's behind some of the people. I was like, okay,
Mm.
well, that's the Stickman right there, because he has there's evidence in it otherwise that he actually does get it in.
Mm-hmm. Where I can't picture Marcus. When you said that he's in there, I can never picture that. He's just riding the ride. I think at one point.
Yeah. So he's not one of the main characters, obviously.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty funny that he does pop up in there. It's pretty damn awesome too. At the same time. All right, I think my stickman would be Lewis. I think that's kind of maybe possibly low hanging fruit there, but he's the jock of
Sure.
the team, and he's the going to go all pro second team. What fuck the Bruins, like that whole fly with their punching the bear. He's definitely a stickman. Sometime at one point he would be like a pretty legendary stickman when he gets in his pro career, his college career. Yeah, and his name's Texas
been.
Yeah, he would have been a big Lewis. So yeah, that's where I got for the stickman on that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
There's sometimes this movie that I was just reminded of, like 13 Reasons Why. Like there's so many characters that are just that are sort of like the cliche in high school, but those actually exist, and they kind of touch all of these, and then there's just like a little 90-minute,
Yeah, that is true. How about the biggest douchebag here? Several options, I think, too.
Yeah, a lot to pick from. I mean, I guess, I mean, Frankie Cheeks is a pretty big douchebag. I mean, he's kind of a voyeur. He's kind of creepy. His hat, he makes him really punchable too. Like he's
his hat. Yeah, that's a good call.
He's not like the classic douchebag is like the jock douchebag, or like the fraternity brother douchebag, but he's not really one of those. He's just like he's just a dick, and he actually had it coming.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and then it's like he's like, maybe if I didn't like treat women the way I do as fun bags, maybe they wouldn't have to go get tanned. And yeah, I was like, oh my, way to turn this whole death sequence into you. And then he starts to kiss Julie as well, like at the funeral. It's like, oh, and then he's like, I won this little this is old school, and that's what Frankie Cheeks is he's old school. And he tries to lick the little necklace that he had too. That's very very cringe. But that character has stuck out in my head whenever I think of the movie. I think of Frankie Cheeks, so I guess it's a very memorable character at the same time, which is it's pretty awesome. Yeah, Frankie Cheeks. That's a great one. But in my head, I was picturing this cast as Dazed and Confused, and Matthew McConaughey as Frankie Cheeks would be kind of funny.
I go with that.
Because he's like, didn't you graduate 2 years ago? The high school girls stay the same age. All right.
He'd be a little more sly than just straight up having a camera,
Oh yeah, just hanging around. Yeah, he definitely would be cool. Definitely be a cooler, more sly person. He probably pull off that hat a lot better too.
Well, I feel like that he's more like the Rory Cochrane character in Dazed and Confused or something.
Rory. Yeah, that's a good call. Good call. I also think like Ashley and Ashlyn are kind of fall in the same kind of realm, where they're really stuck on themselves. Not really necessarily like dicks, but at the same time, like, that is so nice of us that what we just did. We invited her tanning. Like, that is so nice. Like, we are the best.
Yeah, little mean girls in there, kind of.
Yeah, pink power. Yeah.
Well, it's another one I know from something else, but Julie, I think her character is really fun, but she's from Silicon Valley.
Oh
That,
yeah,
that's I saw her face. I was like, oh no way! I did no idea who she was at the time. But her character is fun, and she does just kind of like pop up when she's not supposed to be there. And her like double birds she keeps giving people like and like it's she's a fun character to watch. I could have had her be the main character. I wouldn't really have a problem following her for 90
Mm.
minutes.
I totally forgot that she was the main girl in Silicon Valley there. But yeah, I saw her in like She's the Man, the Amanda Bynes film, and then I guess I just watched Age of Adeline for the first time, and she was also in there. I'm not as fond of that character too much, but yeah, it's fun to see her pop up, especially it's like I know that face from somewhere. I was just like, where does it pop up at? And then you have to go on her IMDb page. It's like, oh, that's right, that's where I remember her from.
Yeah, that's the hey, it's John Hamm.
We're on what, minor character, right?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think here too. As we mentioned Tony Todd, that was going to be my original pick, but we had already kind of discussed him there. I think that the favorite minor character who's like a complete idiot. I don't even know what his name is, but he's the guy doing the weights in front of the bear in the gym. He's like, ugh. He's just like he's just going crazy, and this whole monologue about F death, and he's just like, they cut to him a couple times, and he's like doing these like 5-pound weights, like just super like annoying, but he's a funny character. Like, I don't know what's going on with that guy or how he reacts when, you know, Lewis gets his head
roided out.
What was that? Yeah, he's just roided out, exactly. But that's just a fun character there. Yeah, he's just like, ah. I think that's what makes that scene so good. It's like Lewis is going off about like screw death and like, you know, I'm in control of my own destiny, and then eventually he's like, see, death can't beat me, and then all of a sudden it's like smashed. Like that kill comes out of nowhere. It's awesome, which makes the deaths amazing here.
You want to go into our rankings of the deaths then?
Yeah, let's go in our death ranking there. Let's do it. So we counted 10 deaths from the characters we do follow. We're necessarily not counting the premonitions, but we're counting the character deaths. So characters that are paired together, like Ashley and Ashlyn, those are considered one death. Jason and Carrie are going to be paired as one death. They were on the roller coaster. And then everybody individually after that. So let's start off with number 10. We counted 10 in this movie. Who do you have at number 10?
Yeah, number 10, I just have Kevin getting like wedged between the train and the wall. I don't know. I can't. I mean, it's not the one that I picture as being like iconic in any way. It's just one that just kind of happens. And
yeah, that's true. That's not bad. I have that one a little higher. My number 10 is the one that gets like flagged.
Yeah, Perry Malinowski.
Yeah. So who was the one next to you? It was me. Boom, and the flag just goes in. But I want to bring attention to that death because they had her like pegged to the ground and she slowly slides down. They did it in a year before in 2002 in House of Wax, and that's one of my favorite all-time kills. It was Paris Hilton's death in that film, and they had like this wooden stake get thrown through a window and hits her right in the head, and she's like perfectly pegged on the ground. And the guy comes behind her and just pushes her all the way down and skewers her to the ground. It's a great death. One of the best.
It's the same way that Michael Cera dies in This Is the End, right?
Oh, yeah, the good call.
He gets impaled and like it's just sort of like, oh, and he actually has like another line after that, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it's comes out of nowhere, which is fun, but it's not one of the highlights for me.
Number 9, I have Julie getting killed by the train wheel. That's another one. It's kind of out of nowhere. I mean, it's unexpected because of just how quickly it comes about, but yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy about the end of this movie, obviously. So, yeah, but that's what I go on number 9.
Yeah, that's a good one. I have that at number 9 as well. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. It's everybody's conveniently placed in one little spot there in the end of the subway. But yeah, Julie, number 9. That's a good spot to put her.
The number 8 is where I have is Perry getting impaled by the flagpole. Mm-hmm. But what I do like about that is like that scene is great with misdirection because there's so many things happening that look like they're about to be a death, and which they do a lot. They do that a lot, but in that scene particularly. And then it's that the pole come out of nowhere and just taking her out. But I mean, that character was basically a nothing character, and
Yeah, it was.
but it made it seem like, oh yeah, she's the best friend of the sister or whatever like that. I mean, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but I mean, it is a pretty striking image, but it's not like a great death.
That's true. The only like downfall of that is that it took forever for them to realize, hey, that's a charm bracelet there. It's like, and they made a point
Yeah.
about the charm bracelets several times, but they just never paid attention to it, which I think is kind of funny.
True.
But anyway, that's a good one. I have a number 8 here. I do have Jason and Carrie here because they die on the roller coaster, but they're really not. It's not really focused on it too much. There's so many deaths going on in there, and so it feels kind of weird having the premonition. This is, I think, my second favorite premonition sequence out of the franchise. I think the freeway one is obviously the one that everybody knows really well. But Jason and Carrie dying on the front of the roller coaster, so I have it at number 8. Yeah.
So number 7 is I have Wendy.
Yep, same.
Yeah. Which is, again, I'm putting a cap on that last scene, but I don't know that I really expect her to die in that scene on it. So it's an interesting scene, but yeah, that's a decent spot for her.
Yeah, it's pretty good spot there. Yeah, 7. I don't have anything special on that one. I think she is one of the more likable leads, and having her die kind of by the subway, it's like, oh, death just closes the circle fully on you. So
yeah,
it's a good one. What do you got? Number 6.
Number 6 is where I have the roller coaster with Carrie and Jason. I mean, it's really just a roller coaster in general because it is something that everyone probably fears. Is the reason why they like roller coasters is because there's that risk that you're going to die, and so you just take the whole idea of that scene, and that's enough to put it up in number 5, I think.
Yeah, that's a great spot there. It gets a little tougher as we're getting a little further up here. Yeah, we're going to go with Kevin at number 6 for me. I feel like it's a cool little callback because it kind of goes back to the photo of that bright white light in his face. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get blown up by a firework." Well, it could be technically the subway because it was shining white on his face, and he's like pressed up against the glass there too. And it's a very similar image to what they predicted his death to be. So maybe Death was saying that, no, your death's gonna come on a subway.
My number 5 is Frankie Cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
with the car engine, which is a really weird way to die, and it's an important one because that's the one that makes them realize like, oh yeah, these pictures are actually showing us how they're going to die in some way. But he's not really even the focus of that scene. He doesn't even have a line. He's just sitting in the car and his head gets taken off. So
that's flips the bird. So. Yeah. And this typical Frankie Cheeks. I do, when I think of this movie, I do think of Frankie Cheeks' death though, so I do have him a little higher. For me, I do have number 5, Ian McKinley, where he gets like completely just like splattered by that sign or that crane, and his body's just like twitching on the ground. That's an awesome image. But yeah, I got Ian at number 5.
Yeah, that's a good one. Got him a little higher. Number 4, I have Aaron getting killed by the nail gun. That scene's pretty gnarly overall because I mean it's a warehouse where everything is just so creaky and so on the edge of something happening, and then it's you don't expect that to happen. She just gets like backed up into a gun and just gets like 10 nails like shot straight through her skull. It's a pretty cool one.
That's a great one too. Number 4 for me, I'll put Frankie Cheeks here actually, because the top 4 for me are like the hardest ones to really decipher where they should go. But Frankie Cheeks, I love it because that's where you first get that song. There is someone coming behind you, and the whole setup of this kill is fantastic. They're like, we need to find Frankie. Where is he at? and they get stuck behind the car, and then the douchebag, that could have been douchebag, the guy backing up into him at the drive-through, and they get pinned in. And that, like, with the fastest backup job ever, and basically screw that tow truck driver, that whole truck coming down the hill. It's great misdirection, and they do doubt themselves. Like, the photos were wrong. That's not how he was supposed to die. There was no ladder or anything like that, or rope or anything. And then, like, wait, there's another photo, a photo that Kevin took earlier on in the film, and that's where he actually died, which is cool. A good little payoff there too. So yeah, Frankie Cheeks, pretty cool death at a drive-through.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about that too at a drive-through, where it's just like you are so stuck there. Like, there's no way to get out. Like, all of them are built with like things on the side, so you can't actually drive off of the drive-through. It's like you're stuck there if something goes down.
Yeah, that is true. Good call. Number 3.
Number 3 is where I have Lewis getting his head crushed by the weight, and I mean, he's kind of an asshole in that scene, and but it is the image of the swords coming down right behind him, and him just being so arrogant that he's going to he's like, see, I can't die, and then just absolutely destroys his head. It's that scene, that's a great scene overall, honestly.
That could be a best scene, but the death happens in there. It's very locker room there, and having that with the swords coming down too. It's just, and Wendy's just like pointing at the photos to. He's like, "You're doing the talking, but watch out, this is coming." And like, water also plays like a huge role in like almost every film. Like, there's like always like some kind of water valve, like it's spraying right next to an electrical socket too. And like, people are like dropping radios and almost in puddles. It's like that doesn't seem like a great idea, putting a fixture next to a water fountain. But yeah, just creepy. Good call. Number 3 for me, I do have Lewis there too. We'll just piggyback on that. That's it's a great spot. It's a great kill, great visual gag too. And people were like, "Holy yeah, that just happened. That's nuts."
I'm not sure does your head actually explode like that? I don't know. And like, I was thinking about that. I was just like, man, that seems pretty extreme. But
weights don't work like that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but it's I don't want to try it. I don't want to test it out.
That's a good call. Number 2 is where I have Ian getting crushed by the crane, because similar to Lewis, like he's so arrogant, and he's just like, I cheated it. It skipped me. I can't die now. See, look, this thing just went right past me.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, probably the most like, just, I mean, he's dead. He's dead right off the bat. Like, I mean, like, just crushed by a crane. Which is a great image too. So.
Yeah, the franchise does amazing splatter jobs. Like, one of my favorite kills in the second one was the dentist setup. Like, you're in a dentist's office, is already eerie enough, and the boy comes out and gets splattered by the pane of glass. Like, that's a great image. Like, it's a great build up to that scene. But that's a great one too. I think, as we're comparing splatter jobs, I think the second one has the upper hand, but McKinley's death here it's a great splatter job too, and especially the image of him like twitching. That's great. We didn't get that in the other movie, so good call there. So I will go with number 2 here, Aaron and the nail gun. That whole, again, I love like setups. You think it's going to be McKinley the entire time, but it flips it, like it's not. It's Aaron. Actually, I think it was supposed to be McKinley. That they saved McKinley. It skips McKinley and went straight to Aaron, and that was the alternative kill there, and having her die with that nail gun, and McKinley just seeing his face like, so like, what the hell did you do? Like, that's awesome. And it was so out of the blue and sudden, and like, it's way over the top kill with the how many nails that went through her head and her hand. Like, it's pretty awesome visual. All right.
Yeah.
Number 1, tanning bed.
Yeah, the tanning bed with Ashley and Ashlyn, which, I mean, it's I mean, obviously, when I saw this, I was 17. It was like that made a huge impact on me, watching these two hot chicks get roasted by a tanning bed. But but they're so bitchy about it. Like, they lock the door, like they wedge something in the door so that nobody can come in. Like, they're totally dumb about it. And they shit on some like music and stuff.
Yeah, I
But
really
then,
like the
I
ones
mean, they
here.
get probably the most painful death that you will see in these movies, right? I mean, just getting
Yeah,
burned alive, like slowly.
yeah.
And I love the end of that scene where the shot of the tanning beds from over the
Oh,
top turns into the shot of the caskets. I mean, it's my
ah,
favorite
brilliant.
transition to
Yeah,
a funeral since the like the other guys. You
yeah.
know, like
Good
it's
call.
just,
I like it.
it just I mean, I cracked up out loud when I when I saw that transition scene. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
that's a
I think that's the iconic scene of this movie is the tanning bed.
yeah. The tanning bed scene is awesome. Obviously, had some naked chicks, in there as well, getting fried to death while listening to like some funky music, as it were. And it's like no beverages in the beverages. Of course, condensation gets the better of them, and the guy who gets stuck outside because the tanning lotion can't get back inside. They lock the doors and they get fried to a crisp in a very brutal way. It's definitely a painful death. It's an iconic death for sure. Probably will be on my top 10 Final Destination kills. The franchise does a fantastic job, like utilizing everybody's fear of certain things, like car accidents, dentist office, tanning beds. In this case, the next one we'll talk about a LASIK eye surgery, which is
Mm.
another crazy one. Uh, but yeah, this is just a fantastic like images and characters leading up to that too. A death that's completely fitting for the characters as well, which is awesome. And then the flawless transition from the caskets too is awesome.
Yeah, and I mean the owner of the tanning bed place, like
Yeah.
Yuri, like he would win several of our awards. The Matt Damon, What Movie Are You In? Who
Mhm.
Nicolas Cage would play.
Yeah.
Borderline Amazing Larry High Roller Award for minor character.
Minor
Like
character. Yeah.
like I was like, man, that character needed another scene. He's
Eh, He's probably like it would be funny to see him at the funeral because he's like probably their number one his number one customer as
probably
well.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, they like big gulps, huh? Big gulps. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Big ol'
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a good one. So yeah, obviously that's the tanning bed scenes are best death there for Ashley and Ashlyn. Uh, Two other categories I would like to talk to you about. What's the worst performance?
I mean, this is not a franchise or a movie in general that is built on great performances. So,
Right.
worst performance I had written down Jesse Moss, who plays Jason. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those. I mean, it's one of those total cliche characters, but I mean, he's not good at it. He could be, he could
The
be,
reason why he died.
yeah,
That's the reason
right
he
off the
died.
bat.
Yeah, that's a good call. But as a character that we actually see a little bit more of, and I was like, every time it's like, man, she's not good in this. I have Amanda Crew as Julie.
Uh,
I don't know. For me, I was like, every time she popped up, it was like that hat at the end or that beginning where she flips the bird. It's like, that's, I don't know if she would actually wear that. And you think that's cool? Like, I don't know.
so the costume designer, you're not.
Yeah, I'm not a costume designer, so I don't know, but anyway, yeah, Amanda Cruz for me is my worst performance. But again, it's like we're not looking for great performances. This franchise, we're looking for the deaths, but yeah, for her, it's just my least favorite performance out of all the cast there.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with you picking that, honestly. And the people, the Ashley and Ashlyn, like they're right
Yeah,
up there too. Like
but they play those roles pretty well though, considering
yeah,
what characters they are. But still, they're
addicting
not good
bonds.
either.
Yeah,
Yeah. How about a high war? This is going to be this is an interesting one for people that you recognizable faces. I obviously I think there's two for me that really like when I think of this movie, I think of those two actors. And the one I'm going to go with, I'll mention the other one after you say yours if it's different. I'm going to go with Chris, guy who plays Ian McKinley. It's
yeah. Lem-
McKinley, Chris,
Lemch.
Lynch, yeah, Lynch. Yeah, every time like he's like plays that character really well, and like whenever I see the movie, it's like that's like one of the best guys in the film. It's like anybody else can really kind of transition, but that's the guy that I would want to keep the same.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Seth Green role or something like that. If he was in this, he would be that character. I
Yeah.
feel like.
Yeah, that's a good one. Seth Green. He'd be like the Seth Green in Idle Hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be funny. Yeah.
I mean, actual highest score. I mean, it's hard not to say Tony Todd, right? Just because
Yeah,
just
for
because of the
sure.
voice. He's the voice of the roller coaster, even.
Yeah.
But he's not really in the movie. I mean, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I'll say for highest score, just because. I mean,
Mhm.
I think she's great in this, and there are times when you could see like, okay, she is the future. She could be a future actual actress and not just like a scream queen.
Yeah, that's true. She's done a lot of really great movies too, and performances that we've really liked, from Faults to Scott Pilgrim. Uh, there's just to name two right there. Some really great stuff that she's appeared
Yeah,
in.
and
What, Skeleton
Smashed, and
Crew or
she
something
was
like that?
in The
Yeah,
Spectacular Now.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of great stuff that she's done. Yeah, so yeah, good little good stuff. Any closing thoughts we want to before death comes for us in this review?
I don't know. I mean, I think this was the last movie that guy, or the last one of the franchise that James Wong directed. But I
He
feel
only
like
did
the
four
first one and the
movies.
oh, wow.
He
So
did
so
Dragon
Final
Ball
Destination
Evolution.
one. Oh wow, I've never seen that. But so
Yeah,
that's
Kino
unfortunate. Like
nominated.
he had a really good eye for set pieces, because the first one and the third one I feel like have the most iconic things in it.
Mm,
And then the one, of course, is just I mean that's like a childhood favorite of mine. But,
mhm.
I mean, if we're talking about the MVP of the movie, I would say James Wong, and, it's a shame that he didn't get to keep making these if he wanted to, or I don't know. I don't know how that actually went down, but
Yeah, I posed a similar question in for the the first review as well. James Wong, like that guy has a really good tone for an eye for horror, and unfortunately got taken down by like a big kind of popular anime franchise, and because I have never seen it either. It's Pinot nominated, so check it out if you want, for worst performance. But yeah, that's just yeah, I bet he's happy now that Snow White has the worst reviews on IMDb. But it's just one of those things that are like, what happened to that guy? I want to know what happened to James Wong. But yeah, definitely a good MVP candidate for this movie here for sure. I do have I have two questions for you. So in the two things that my two big issues that I have with the movie is Ashley and Ashlyn randomly have a splitter in their bag to listen to the one iPhone. That's kind of a random thing to have. Like, she's like, I forgot my iPod at home, and the other girl just randomly has a splitter so they can listen to two different sets. They both have the same, like both ears are filled with
yeah.
their headphones. So I
Yeah, I
thought
don't
that
know that
was,
I've ever done that. I mean, even
yeah,
back then, like, I mean, I know I've listened with one earphone while the other person listens with the other one, but, like,
yeah, I've done
actually
that.
carrying around a splitter, that is sort of strange.
Because I was like, wait, they're listening to the same iPod, but then they both have both their ears are filled with headphones. That's very weird. And my other thing is that where did the top of the bell that Lewis hit, where did it fall? Because I feel like there's a lawsuit waiting to happen if it fell on somebody's head at
I
the
was
fair.
wondering about that too. Yeah, it just sails off, and then it's just like, "Oh, where's it gonna land?" And it's like, "Oh, we forgot about
Transitions
that."
to Devil's Flight. That fair, that the carnival fair or theme park was packed too. That definitely had a fall on somebody, and that's probably ain't light either.
I mean, and
Yeah,
it couldn't have flown that far. I mean, that thing was heavy, so it's like it
yeah,
probably was gonna land within, like, I don't know, 20 feet of there, and it probably was gonna hit somebody, but they forgot about it. It was like, "Oh, on to the next thing."
yeah. It's like, oh, not important, nothing to see here. But yeah, that's the two things I want to leave you on, everybody. So again, I really do appreciate Todd jumping in and having kind of a mini deep dive conversation on Final Destination 3. Kind of a unique film to do a little mini deep dive, but again, sometimes these random films are probably the most fun conversations you'll have in this kind of format. So thank you for being a part of it, Todd. I'm looking forward to having you back on for more horror related content.
Anytime.
All right. Until next time, guys, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments section. Todd and I will be down there answering any questions or thoughts or opinions on Final Destination 3. Make sure you guys stay tuned for other Final Destination reviews and future rankings coming up fairly soon. Until next time, my name is Adam. That's Todd. We will see you in the next one.